Welcome back to the Michigan Business Beat, brought to you on the Michigan Business Network. I'm Chris Holman, and we are at the Policy Conference on Mackinac Island right now. And we also have with us Randy Thelen, who is the CEO of the Right Place in Grand Rapids and region. Right. As a matter of fact, how far does your region reach?
Yeah, we've been growing, Chris, over the last year. I joined March 1st of 2021 and took over as president and CEO of the Right Place. And since that time, we now have 8 counties that we represent from an economic development standpoint, really stretching from Grand Rapids all the way up to Ludington, over to Big Rapids, and down, sort of the majority, obviously, of West Michigan.
Wow, so is Birgit Close, who was your predecessor, is she available to you when you need her?
Yeah, no, she's been terrific. I mean, she's clearly kind of built the organization, if you will, over her 30-plus years with the Right Place. And I always say if there's a Mount Rushmore of economic development in Michigan, she would certainly be on it. And a couple others, and then I would save a spot for myself long term, right? Of course.
You're going to get there, Randy.
No, but Birgit continues to be supportive, and I talk with her frequently.
Well, so tell me what's happening with Right Place.
Yeah, at the Right Place. So it's been an interesting year. We've coming off a pandemic in 2020 and it's kind of muscling our way through. 2021 was a very strong year. From a job and investment standpoint, we far exceeded our goals, so that was exciting. This year, we're frankly a little bit slow out of the gate. I think the inflationary pressures, supply chain pressures, just a lot of uncertainty in the economy is causing some companies to put decisions on hold. So we're trying to push through that, of course, and find ways to continue to grow. But it's definitely gotten tougher.
Well, at Right Place, you have to have the same problems everybody else is having with talent. What's up with that, and what are you doing?
Yeah, that too has been an interesting year. A couple of things, the great resignation, the great sort of shift in the way people work. People are making choices that they didn't have the ability to make choices with before. The supply of labor is far below the demand for labor right now, and so the individual is in the driver's seat and can make choices that weren't available in years past. Now, that may be changing as the economy softens right now and the demand for labor starts to shrink. Suddenly that sort of power struggle between employer and employee starts to equalize a little bit. So we're heading into an interesting time. A couple of things that we're working on at the Right Place as it relates to talent with our employers. One, we're looking very closely at our diverse talent. If you look at historically in West Michigan, we've underperformed in terms of diverse engagement in our workforce. Generally speaking, double the unemployment rate and about 50% of the wage level. So we have to get better at that. We're just not operating on all cylinders as an economy. We've got to find a way to solve that. And so we've leaned in there. We've brought on a new senior VP of talent diversity to kind of bridge that talent diversity conversation around employment and working with employers to find solutions in that regard. Second is technology. In fact, earlier this morning at this conference, I saw a chart that showed how automotive engineers job postings used to talk about engineering, and today they talk about, can you code? Do you have cybersecurity? Do you understand machine learning, AI? We're shifting, every industry is shifting to be more technology-based, and so at the Right Place, we're really encouraging and pushing our education providers to get ahead of that curve and really start training more tech-oriented people for the jobs that we have currently and the jobs that are going to be there tomorrow.
Well, and I saw Michigan State is expanding campus and programs. That always helps, as Spectrum does. You've got some pretty major employers. We
do. The medical mile, and really it's medical miles, plural. We have this health sciences sector that's really blossomed. We've always had the hospital systems, but in the last 20 years we've put some research to it. We brought a medical school to it. Now we have med device and research capabilities in the private sector that are surrounding that sector, and it's really become a great growth engine for us. Beyond MSU and what they're doing on the medical mile, Grand Valley State continues to be one of the great stories for Michigan, really, in terms of a university on the rise and meeting the needs of employers in the region. And so, making sure at the Right Place we're connecting our employers to those talent pipelines. I joke, but it's true. Our employers have to think like Tom Izzo and the basketball team at Michigan State. They can't wait until a student graduates to start recruiting them. They need to go when they're a freshman or sophomore and start recruiting them aggressively to join their company. And so that's kind of the push we have.
That's a great analogy. You can see Tom in middle school basketball games on occasion.
He gets it. I don't know that he ever imagined he'd be recruiting at middle school, but now our employers are going to have that same mindset.
Yeah.
And frankly, just like he does with basketball, offering scholarships, and now the They have ways to pay college players. We're going to have to find ways to provide co-ops and internships for young people coming up, because at the end of the day, there's fewer people. We're just going through this strange population glut where there's fewer people coming through the schools than before. We've closed elementary schools, we've closed middle schools, we've closed high schools, and now we saw, Central Michigan University is down 40% in enrollment. There's just fewer people. Now that sort of glut of population, or that void of population, is now hitting our employers, and they need to think differently about how they attract people into their company.
Well, and I think this is the new technology that's coming in too, because we got to replace these people with automation. I hate to say it, but because they're not coming back.
Jobs are definitely changing. I think back to my jobs right out of, in school. I delivered newspapers. We don't have delivery, newspaper boys anymore. I used to bag groceries. We don't bag groceries anymore. We do it ourselves. I used to work at McDonald's. There'd be 25 people working on a Friday night. Now there's 6 to 8. We've automated things incredibly across all kinds of sectors, and we're going to see more and more of that going forward.
You're absolutely right. Well, Randy, it's so good to see you. Randy Thelen, the CEO of The Right Place, and you're doing marvelous stuff over there. Keep it up.
Well, thank you. Enjoy the day.
You too. Good to see you, bud. All right. You've been watching the Michigan Business Beat on the Michigan Business Network. I'm Chris Holman, coming to you from the Island and the Policy Conference put on by the Detroit Regional Chamber of Commerce. So we'll be right back.